Every year it was the same table, same house, same food, same conversations, and the same comparison. Thanksgiving at my parents' place wasn't just a family dinner. It was a performance review I never signed up for. My sister always sat to my father's right, the successful one, the one with the title, the one they were proud of. Vice president at such a young age, my mother would say, like she was introducing a celebrity. This year was no different. She's leading entire teams now, my father added, carving the turkey with unnecessary precision. That's what hard work looks like. Everyone nodded. Everyone smiled. And then, like always, they looked at me. What about you? My mother asked, her tone softer, but not kinder. Still doing administrative work? The pause before the words said everything. I set my glass down calmly. Something like that. My sister smiled politely. The kind of smile that wasn't cruel. Just certain. Certain that she was ahead. Certain that I was behind. You should really think bigger, she said. There's more out there if you push yourself. I nodded. I'm sure there is. The truth is, I never corrected them. Not once. Not when they laughed about my casual clothes. Not when they joked about my lack of ambition. Not even when my father said, some people are just comfortable staying small. Because explaining something to people who have already decided who you are is a waste of time. They didn't know what I did. They didn't ask. And I didn't offer. Because I learned something early on. If people only respect titles, let them believe whatever title they need. Her company is growing fast, my mother continued, nodding toward my sister. They're expanding again, right? Yes, my sister said proudly. We're restructuring next quarter. New leadership, new direction. I almost smiled, because I knew exactly what she was talking about. Better than she did. Big decisions coming, she added. Important ones. My father leaned back, impressed. That's where real influence is, he said. At the top. I picked up my fork again. Is it? I asked calmly. Of course it is, he replied. That's where everything is decided. I nodded slightly. Interesting. Dinner continued. More praise for her. More subtle disappointment directed at me. And through it all, I stayed quiet, because timing matters. And my moment wasn't at that table. After dinner, as people moved into the living room, my sister followed me into the kitchen. You okay? She asked. I looked up. Of course. You've been quiet. I usually am. She hesitated. I didn't mean anything earlier. I know. She leaned against the counter. You just never seem to want more. That made me pause. Not because it hurt, but because it was honest. She really believed that. I want different things, I said. She nodded slowly. Fair. Then she smiled again. Well, if you ever want to move up, I could help. There might be some entry-level positions opening. Entry-level. At my company. I held her gaze for a second. Then I said something simple. I'll keep that in mind. That night, I left early. Like I always did.
No arguments. No explanations.
Just quiet exits. Monday morning came faster than expected. It always does when people think they're walking into something they understand. The building stood tall. Glass exterior. Clean lines. The kind of place that doesn't need to prove anything. Inside, everything moved with purpose. People walked quickly. Conversations were short. Decisions were constant. By 8:30 a.m., I was already in the boardroom. Large table, floor-to-ceiling windows, cities stretching out below. At the head of the table sat my chair. My name on the digital display, not hidden, not quiet.
Clear.
I reviewed the file in front of me. My sister's performance report. Detailed, objective, accurate, not personal. Because this wasn't about family. This was about leadership. At 8:57 a.m., the door opened. She walked in confidently, professional,
Prepared.
the same certainty she had at dinner, for exactly 2 seconds. Then she looked up and saw me. Everything stopped, not physically, but inside her. Her step slowed, her expression shifted. Confusion first, then recognition, then something deeper, something heavier. I didn't stand. I didn't smile. I simply gestured toward the chair across from me. Have a seat. For a moment, she didn't move. My sister stood at the entrance of the boardroom, her hand still lightly gripping the door, as if stepping fully inside would make this real. Her eyes stayed on me, trying to make sense of what she was seeing, because this didn't fit the version of me she had carried for years. The small job, the hoodies, the quiet one at the end of the table. None of that matched the person now sitting at the head of the room, with her file open. Come in, I said calmly. My voice didn't change, didn't rise, didn't soften, just steady, professional. She stepped forward slowly, closed the door behind her, and took the seat across from me.
Carefully.
Like the ground beneath her had shifted. Neither of us spoke for a few seconds. The silence wasn't uncomfortable. It was heavy, because some moments don't need words. They need understanding. You didn't tell me, she said finally. Her voice was quieter now. Controlled, but no longer confident. You didn't ask, I replied. That landed. Not sharply, but clearly. She looked down at the table, then back up. This company, she started, her words slower now, more careful. You own it. I built it. Another pause. Longer this time, because now she wasn't just processing information. She was rewriting everything she thought she knew. And the subsidiary, she continued. Yes. The word came easily, because there was nothing complicated about it. Her entire career had been inside something I created. She leaned back slightly, a small movement, but it said everything, because confidence doesn't disappear loudly. It fades quietly. I didn't know, she said. I know. I closed the file in front of me, not because I was done, but because I didn't need it open to continue. This isn't personal, I said, even though in a different context it could have been, easily. But I had learned something important a long time ago. Power isn't loud. It doesn't need to be. Her hands rested on the table now, still, composed, trying to hold onto something familiar. So, this is my review? She asked. Yes. And you're doing it? Yes.
No emotion.
No edge. Just truth. She nodded slowly, professional instinct kicking in, trying to regain control of the moment. Okay, she said. Then let's do it properly. That made me pause, just slightly, because that was the first thing she said that sounded like her, not the version from dinner. The real one. I reopened the file. Your performance has been strong. I began.
Clear.
Objective. You've delivered results. Your team responds well to you. You meet targets consistently. She listened, focused, careful, but I continued. There are concerns. Her eyes lifted, direct now, ready. What kind of concerns? Judgment. The words stayed in the air. Simple, heavy. In leadership, I said, how you see people matters as much as what they produce. She didn't interrupt, didn't defend, just listened. You make decisions quickly, I continued. Sometimes too quickly. Based on what? Perception. That word hit harder, because now we were no longer talking about work. Not entirely. Her gaze shifted for a moment, then returned. I've never let that affect performance. Not directly, I agreed. But indirectly, it shapes everything. The room went quiet again. But this time, it wasn't confusion. It was reflection. I underestimated you, she said. There was no hesitation in it.
No excuse.
Just acknowledgement. Yes, I replied. Not harsh, not soft, just honest. She exhaled slowly. And for the first time since she walked in, she wasn't trying to control the situation. She was accepting it. I'm sorry, she said. I believed her, because this wasn't about being caught. This was about understanding. I leaned back slightly. This isn't about what happened at dinner, I said, even though we both knew it was part of it. It's about what that moment revealed. She nodded, slowly. I'm not here to punish you, I continued. And I'm not here to protect you either. That line mattered, because this wasn't revenge. This was something else. I'm here to do my job. Another silence, but this one felt different. Lighter, clearer. So what happens now? She asked. Now, I said, closing the file again. You improve. She blinked, slightly surprised. You're keeping me? If you were anyone else, I said, this would be the same conversation. And that was true, because fairness isn't selective. Her shoulders lowered, just a little. Relief, mixed with something else. Respect. I won't make that mistake again, she said. I know, I replied. She stood up slowly, not rushed, not shaken, just changed. At the door, she paused, then looked back at me. Why didn't you ever tell us? She asked. I thought about it for a moment, then gave her the simplest answer. Because I didn't need to. She nodded, and this time, she understood. When the door closed behind her, the room felt quiet again. Not empty, just still. Because in the end, it wasn't about proving them wrong. It wasn't about showing them who I was. It was about something much simpler. Knowing who I was, without needing them to.